to get paid, blow up I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. And if you don't know, I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. And if you don't know, I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. It's all good. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. And if you don't know, I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. It's all good. Get paid, get paid, get paid. Blow up like I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm like you thought I would. And if you don't know, I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. And if you don't know, I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. It's all good. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. And if you don't know, I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. It's all good. Get paid, get paid, get paid. Blow up like I'm blowing up like you thought I would. I'm like you thought I would. And if you don't know, I'm blowing up like you thought.
Welcome to the Republic of Arsenal. A quick live video just for the lineup announcements. I'm joined by Farhan. Farhan, how you doing? It feels like it's been a while. How are you keeping?
It has been a while. I'm very good. Listen, thanks for inviting me on. It's always a pleasure to be chatting with you. It's been a very long time. But in that time, I've been seeing you smashing the video, smashing the hell out of it. Can I just say that intro video, brilliant, really, really good. I was liking the look of that. But yeah, it's crunch time, man. This is what we've been waiting for 7 grueling days, and we're finally here to find out what our fate is.
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to it. That nervous excitement that you always get before a big game. And hey, look, I want to say the same to you as well. I know we haven't really collabed for a while now, but definitely been keeping an eye, and I'm seeing all the good things you're doing. So yeah, look, you keep up the good work, keep smashing it. So yeah, look, the lineups are out. Neither of us have actually seen it. I've seen a quick glimpse pop up there, but not enough to actually get into and analyze. Before I throw it up, how you feeling? How you feeling coming into this?
I feel surprisingly comfortable. Not confident, but I'm within myself. I feel okay. I woke up this morning fine. Throughout the day, just little bits here and there where, I wouldn't call them nerves, but it's more like anticipation. Like I just want to see kickoff. I want to be in my sofa watching the game. Stupidly enough, I was looking for flights to Gdansk. I was looking for hotels, and I was looking at ways of trying to get tickets because for some reason I feel like Arsenal are going to win. But no, like you say, it's one of those things where it feels like a cup final for some reason. Where I know it's not, but it has that element to it. I'm eager to go, man. I'm ready to see what the team lineup is saying as well.
Yeah, 100%. Joe, I'm kind of the same. I'm cautiously optimistic about this game, and I kind of jokingly put it out there on Twitter earlier. I'm not sure whether I'm confident in Arteta to get it right, but at the same time, am I confident in Emery to get it wrong? I'm kind of like whatever people's feelings were about Emery. Yeah, I thought maybe we didn't give him quite long enough, but at the same time, I was never overly convinced by him. So I'm still kind of hoping, that Unai Emery that we became familiar with is still there, and he still has that potential to, he might get it right for us. So look, he definitely threw us a lifeline in the first leg with I think the halftime substitution and trying to go defensive. He definitely allowed us back into it. So look, let's throw this lineup out there. I'm sure anyone who's watching has probably seen it. This is our first time seeing it now.
First time, man. Yeah.
Let's hope for the best.
Oh my goodness gracious me! I'm already alarm bells are already ringing.
That Granit Xhaka left back, yeah.
Bellerin playing right back for me is a slight issue. Listen, that whole back four for me is a massive problem because Holding and Mari struggled against Villarreal. They showed me then that they're not capable to play in big games, and we don't have. And I've been mentioning this. This has been a constant theme throughout the week of something that I've been saying over and over again. You need a leader at the back. You need someone who you can rely on, who you look at and you know that person will carry that defensive line. This is why we need David Luiz. This is why he's been our best defender this season, because he has those leadership abilities. And not only that, he has footballing intelligence, and he has the most experience. Sorry, the most important thing, experience. If you don't have experience, how are you going to know how to deal with games like this, a European semi-final? So I look, Bellerin being there maybe is a bit of a plus because he's got that pedigree, he's got a bit of experience there. But I question whether he can turn up. I question whether Holding and Mari can turn up. Xhaka at the left, at left back. I know he's been playing a few games there. He might be comfortable there. But ultimately, when you're playing up against Chukwueze, you need a defensively solid left back. So what's going on? I'm glad to see Partey playing. I'm glad to see Smith Rowe. Now, is Smith Rowe playing alongside Partey at centre mid? That's the question. And the final four, Odegaard, Saka, Pepe, Aubameyang, I'm happy with. But it's whether we've got enough back there.
This frustrates me so much, the way Arsenal release these lineups, the way they release it in a list. And I know you can kind of piece it together, but there's always a couple of positions you're kind of going, I'm not fully sure. I guess like initial thoughts, like you, alarm bells are ringing with the fullbacks, Bellerin and Xhaka. I'm looking, I find myself nowadays, when the lineup comes out, almost the first thing I do is look at the substitute bench and see who's on the bench. Looking at the bench, okay, it's good to see Tierney's there.
Tierney's there, yeah.
I didn't fully expect Tierney to actually play. I think that's pretty fair. David Luiz, no sign of David Luiz. We did see pictures of David Luiz training, so the initial fear was that injury was a little bit worse than
it's a hamstring injury. You know how if he had come back against Villarreal, that would have been the quickest hamstring recovery I've ever seen inside of a week. So there's no surprise there. Go on, mate. As you were saying.
Yeah, no, that's just it. As you were saying, look, a hamstring injury. Look, if you're Gabriel Martinelli and you're 19 years of age and there's plenty of running in your legs, a hamstring injury is one thing. This is a 34-year-old David Luiz. I wasn't fully confident in that one. Again, look, we do have Martinelli on the bench. We have Lacazette as well. That's good to see. So look, there's a couple of game changers in there. The only issue is how fit these game changers are. You've got Tierney, Lacazette, Martinelli. But I guess
also with the back four, just very quickly, I saw it before briefly. I forgot which game it was, but Xhaka's default position was left back, but he did play in and out of that left back position. Now, is it a case that Saka might slot into left back, Xhaka might play alongside Partey in centre mid, and then you've got Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Smith Rowe playing left wing, Odegaard playing as a number 10, and Pepe playing right wing? Because if you've got Smith Rowe and Saka on one side of the pitch, that's not a bad shout. That's not something to be so worried about. The only thing I do worry, if Saka is playing left back, then is his defensive ability, is his capability to try and track the run of and isolate someone like Chukwueze. I still think Chukwueze will hold the cards to their attacking play. And do you know whether they've released their starting 11 or not?
I am going to have a look.
Be quite interesting to know.
Yeah, I'll check on FlashScore. That's normally where I go to get the lineups. Let me see. But
this isn't. I don't know. Actually, it might be the exact same starting lineup. In the first leg, other than Bellerin, Holding, Mari, Xhaka, Partey, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, Pepe, Aubameyang. I know Ceballos was playing, but who was Ceballos playing for is the question. But it seems like a very similar starting lineup to the one that we had in the first leg, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Their starting lineup is out, mate. It's
Oh, that's the wrong one. Let me get
if you just go on Google and then it will come up.
Actually, I have it here. I'm just gonna see. Can I throw it up here in front?
So they've got Alcacer up front with Moreno, Chukwueze, Trigueros, Parejo, Coquelin, Raul Albiol's partnering with Pau Torres.
Mm.
They got Mario at right back and at left back, Alfonso Pedraza.
According to that, it looks like we've got. Is that Saka playing as like a left wing back with Granit
Yeah,
Xhaka in
you
a
see,
three?
I wouldn't take anything from these
No.
lineups the way that they position it up. It's a guess. It's a good guess. I mean, if it is the case that Arteta has reverted to playing a 5 at the back with Xhaka, Mari, and Holding 3 at the back, and then Saka on one side and Bellerin on the other side, that's going to be very interesting because we know how successful this Arsenal squad has been in playing the 5 at the back in semi-finals, in cup competitions as well. They did it in the final against Chelsea and in the semi-final against City, and it worked a treat with Aubameyang playing up front by himself. But I question what Odegaard would be like playing on the left and how Pepe would be on the right. But listen, if Pepe's playing on the right, that is an automatic trip for me. You can't put Pepe on the right when he's performed so well on the left because you know what you're going to get with him on the right hand side. It's as simple as that.
That looks interesting, that lineup. Now, if that is how we're lining up, I like the look of that. If you have Saka as your left wing back,
yeah,
I definitely like
because
the
you've
look
got
of that.
Saka and Xhaka. So you got Xhaka cover, and that's what Xhaka usually does as a centre mid. He usually covers the left back anyway. So you can have Saka playing more as a more sort of positioned left back, and then Xhaka just covering him, but also playing as a centre back as well. That's interesting for me because as well as being as well as having the freedom to play alongside Thomas Partey in midfield, he now has the ability to cover his defenders whilst helping out Saka as well. I don't know how capable Xhaka is in playing all of those roles at the same time, but it seems to me that when Xhaka's playing left back, Partey has to play his role and Xhaka's role at the same time. It makes it quite difficult for Partey to be able to really flow in what he does best. So hopefully Xhaka's able to come in and out of that position, because the key to victory will be held in the midfield. Usually when we beat teams like comfortably, like we have done with West Brom, with Newcastle, with Southampton, it's always come from Partey and Xhaka being able to number one, add that extra layer of defense to protect the guys at the back, and number two, pick the ball up and play it so brilliantly to the guys in the final third. And that's something that Partey's done brilliantly well this season. So it's going to be a really interesting game tactically to see how Arteta set them up, because he fell on his face on last Thursday. Unai Emery absolutely schooled him. So I hope he's learned from his mistakes, and I hope that. But this is the thing. Now that we've seen the team lineup, we know that there's no stupidness with a false nine or anything like that. It's players hopefully playing in their preferred position and a system that they're all comfortable with. And having said that, I think an Arsenal side with a system that they're used to and players playing in their comfortable position should ideally be able to walk all over this Villarreal side. Because with all due respect to them, there are good players there. But I always see Villarreal as a side that has all the players that had the potential to be great, but never quite made it. So Danny Parejo, Coquelin, Alcacer, Moreno. Other than Chukwueze and Torres, all of them have had, that period where everyone was almost waiting for them to hit their peak, but it just never happened.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you make of the fact that they're missing Foyt? Because he looked lively.
Oh my word! I don't know whether it was the case that he himself works his socks off, or whether Ceballos paid before the game to allow him to just run rings around him. I couldn't understand how you could let one guy run past you 3 or 4 different occasions. But yeah, that is a plus for us. In fact, there's 2 pluses with no Ceballos and no Foyth. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try and approach this game and what their strategy is, because you can go 2 ways in this game. You can try and get an early goal and see the game out, because I believe that if Villarreal do get an early goal, it might be too high of a mountain for Arsenal to climb. Or they can sit back, soak up the pressure, and try and hit Arsenal on the counter-attack to get a goal. Or number three, defend like hell and see the game out at the end, which I don't think that's Unai Emery's style. I think he is the type of manager who likes to search out for goals and tries to build up play. But he'll know how Arteta wants to play the game. Arteta will say to the boys, right, from minute one, it has to be a high press, high tempo, high energy. Everything needs to be really intense. So if I'm Unai Emery and I know that Arteta is going to be setting up an Arsenal side like that, I'm going to want to sit back, be compact, be really organized, soak up the pressure, and hit them and slow down the tempo of the game. And that's something that they did really well last Thursday. If you notice that they held up quite a lot of the possession in the first half, and they didn't have that many opportunities. The 2 goals that they got, the first one was just stupid defending. The second one was a set piece, but they didn't have that many opportunities in the first opening 20-25 minutes. It was only from when they noticed that Arsenal slowed down, because they slowed down the tempo of the game. They started to pass it around quite sideways and backwards, and it almost frustrated Arsenal to the point of, right, we need to now play at this tempo. And something I've realized about Arsenal this season is they don't like playing slow teams with a slow tempo, with a slow pace, because then they automatically stay in that default position and then they never come out of their shell. They never hit that 4th gear or the 5th gear. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Arteta plays this one.
I'm definitely feeling a bit more confident now. The fact that we've actually got a striker on the pitch, I think that's going to be major for us. And I guess what also gives me comfort, looking back to when Unai Emery was Arsenal manager, like, what did we become famous for? It was giving up opportunities. Like, there was games where, I think, was it Watford had 20 or 30 odd shots on goal against us. So I'd seen that. What was it? Villarreal played. I think it was just there a couple of days ago.
Getafe.
They've given up
1-0.
a lot of shots, a lot of opportunities. So again, that's why I thought it was madness. Look, we know Aubameyang wasn't 100% fit, so I'm not saying I expected Aubameyang in the first leg, but even just somebody up there with that poacher's instinct, like Nketiah or somebody, there was an opportunity there. So let's hope, the mindset is different. And look, an Unai Emery team is there to be attacked. They can definitely get you on the counter. They've got plenty of pace, as you said, Chukwueze and Moreno and that. But look, they're definitely there to have a go at. I'll be honest, I'm feeling quite confident. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to say 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the thing with this game, that we come into this game with a slight advantage because of the fact that we got an away goal and we're 2-1 down. So psychologically, it puts us in a stronger position because they know that they're coming to the Emirates playing against the side who has to do everything to win this game. We have to score in order to win this game. So psychology will tell you that if you're playing up against someone who has to do everything to try and win, you're going to be at the back foot at the beginning. But having said that as well, Unai Emery will prepare these boys and tell them they need to score. So you guys need to be very, very careful with what you do with the ball at all times. It will be very much a case of who wants it more. It's a semi-final at the end of the day. So it really depends on how the first 5 minutes play out. Because if Arsenal are all over them in the first 5 minutes, then I think that will carry the tempo and momentum through to the end of the first half. Now, if Arsenal don't get a goal in that first half, it's going to be a very nervy second half. But like you say, Aubameyang's playing up front. That is a finisher there. Regardless of whatever type of form he's had this season, he is still an elite world-class striker. And when I was listening to him at his press conference yesterday, I think it was, but I was listening to it this morning, I got the impression that he's ready and he's hungry, and he understands that he understands the position that he's in. Oftentimes we kind of point fingers and we're like, he doesn't really understand what the captaincy means. Why is he the captain? But I got the impression from him that he gets it. He gets it, that he's the captain and he has all this responsibility weighed on his shoulders, and he's ready to deliver. He's ready to turn up and give the fans and give everyone that expects what we expect of him. He's ready to deliver that. The question is, whether he will be playing the active type of striker that we've seen of Lacazette, getting involved with play, trying to cause problems on the opposition defense, or whether he's going to be the loitering kind of striker, the Aubameyang type of striker, where he just stands around, waits for the ball, quite static. I need him to be active today, because if there's one thing that you need to against a Torres and an Albiol, two defenders who have stricken up quite a good partnership this season as well. One being 24, the other being 29. So there's a very good balance there. It's almost like our Gabriel and Luis, one experienced, one not so experienced, but with a hell of a lot of talent. So Aubameyang needs to be active today. He needs to be causing a lot of problems, and he needs to try and disrupt that defensive line as much as possible. If he does that, I think we can have loads of attempts on goal, especially knowing that we've got Pepe and Saka, and not to mention Odegaard and Smith Rowe as well. So look, it is a mixed bag. The back four for me do hold a lot of questions tonight. Can they step up to the plate, and can they show us that they're capable of playing in big games, especially with someone like Rob Holding, who has been on the watch list for a very, 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 very long time. But it's crunch time now. If he is ready to play regular first team football, if he's ready to take on that captaincy armband, he needs to prove it tonight. Same with Pablo Mari, needs to prove tonight that last week was a blip and he is the real deal. If those back four can sort themselves out, we're going to be creating plenty of opportunities all game long. So I'm not afraid of getting a few goals here and there. I think it will happen, but it needs to happen early on. So I'm optimistic like you, but I do see Villarreal scoring as well, because we are horrible at home, and for some reason or one reason or another, I do see a mistake somewhere happening. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 to Arsenal.
3-1, I'll take it. There was just a question there from Samuel. Is it a 4-3-3? We're not really fully sure, to be honest. Sometimes you get these lineups, and I think people get as confused as we do, when they're building these lineups, and you look at the lineup Arsenal announced, and like that, because it comes in a list form, it's very hard to actually decipher exactly what they're going to do, and especially Arteta being Arteta. We really haven't a clue. It's kind of a guessing game. So I wouldn't be all that surprised if what we're looking at right now isn't exactly how it is gonna be when they line up. I guess,
but it never is, really, is it, mate? Because when the game starts, players often shift positions, and the part of the game plan is to play with two types of formations. You got your offensive formation and your defensive formation. Now, my question is, where is Granit Xhaka playing? Because I think that the key will be held to wherever Granit Xhaka is. If he's playing left back, God help us. He needs to replicate that second half performance that he did against Villarreal, because he did really well against Chukwueze in the second half, but the first half, that first 5 minutes, that's where it went wrong. And errors like that can't be forgiven. We can't afford errors like that. So I'm gonna be keeping an eye on where Granit Xhaka plays. If he's playing alongside Thomas Partey, and if he's shifting in and out of defense, then I'm happy with that. And I also want to see where Saka is. I get the impression that Saka will be played as a right wing and Pepe will be played as a left wing. And I think the 4-3-3 will be the default position that we're playing in, with Odegaard with Emil Smith Rowe playing as almost a left central midfielder. Well, let me ask you this: who do you prefer to see in the number 10 role, Odegaard or Emil Smith Rowe, in a game like tonight?
Ooh, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I think in a game like tonight, I'd probably be a little bit more confident in Smith Rowe, just given the fact that I'm not fully sold on Odegaard's fitness at the minute. It took him a little bit of time to get going. You could see that there was glimpses when he first came into the team. You could see he had the idea and he had the understanding. He has the technical brain. He just didn't quite have the legs to keep up with what he was trying to do. So that would be my only concern, whether we would get the performance level we need out of him tonight. But look, both very good technical players. I think just for the sake of the legs, maybe this evening, I think Smith Rowe I'd fancy there. Gary was actually just asking, should we have three in the middle, Partey with Odegaard and Smith Rowe in front? So again, we're not sure. That's possibly what he is doing.
Yeah. I've been really, ever since Odegaard's come to Arsenal, I've always had this vision, this fantasy of mine to see Emil Smith Rowe playing as a number 10 and Odegaard sitting next to Partey. Because I think the way that Odegaard plays, his footballing abilities and some of his strengths, which is technically, passing the ball, having that eye to get players into acute spaces, all that kind of stuff, playing the ball through the line, that suits a centre mid / attacking centre mid. So he's almost going to play as like a number 8/10. And if we can see that from him, I think we might get the best out of him, because then you don't need Odegaard to be running like wild. Whereas your number 10, you need your number 10 to be always on the ball, always linking up play, always keeping an eye on your centre back to try and turn him or to try and, get away from him. So I'm with you. I think if Smith Rowe plays as a number 10, it will benefit us more in the type of football that we need to play tonight, which has to be non-stop, really urgent, really quick, trying to get the ball from the defensive half to the attacking half as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have a quick look around just to see. I'm gonna look elsewhere, see if I can get an idea of a lineup, because that one is I'm not sold on that lineup, to be completely honest. Again, I'm looking at Sky Sports. They've only got the list form. They're not even hazarding a guess at what we're trying to do. Maybe they have the right idea.
It's almost a good thing, though, isn't it? Because if we can't tell, being Arsenal fans, if we don't know what's happening, who's playing where, what's Unai Emery going to think, He's probably scratching his head thinking the same. So that's good, because then it makes it difficult for him to set his team up and for players to be mentally prepared as to who they're going to be up against, because you don't know whether Saka's going to be playing on the right or left, or Pepe. You don't know whether it's Aubameyang who could be playing on the left and Pepe through the middle. Who knows? With the manager that we've got at the minute and the changes that he's making, it's difficult to know. But yeah, it's definitely something that we could use to our strength.
Yeah, definitely. As long as he doesn't do something crazy like he did in the first leg, and I don't know, he'll drop Aubameyang back into a left wing back position or something. I just wouldn't put anything past him at this stage. Yeah. But it was kind of one of my fears coming into this. I was sort of saying, you know what, maybe don't overthink this one in terms of Arteta. Don't overthink it. Don't go too wild with your formation, with your lineup. Keep it simple as possible, because we know Emery. He likes the, he's the tactician and he likes to set up and try things. And I think sometimes with Arteta, he overdoes it. And I've been saying this all along. I worry about the squad that we have, and I worry about their overall IQ. And with a lot of these players, I think I see the best of them when you just give them the basics. And I've said this time and time again, Pepe, give him a basic direct left wing role, let him run down the line, not overthink. There's a couple of players in there, like again, this is why I keep reverting back to Granit Xhaka. I really worry about Granit Xhaka having to get his head around a new left back role, and he is there a couple of weeks, and he's adapting to it, but it's not something you learn in the space of a couple of weeks, especially when you've played your entire career in a certain role. So I do have concerns when someone is asked to do something that's a bit out of their comfort zone, especially in such a big fixture. Maybe he should have been experimenting, with different bits and pieces in the run up to this game, in the Premier League games. And I know he has with Xhaka at left back, but the likes of that false nine that he played, we've been pretty light all season in terms of attackers. We've only really had Aubameyang and Lacazette. So he did try it before with Willian and it didn't work. And I thought maybe that was going to be it for him in terms of trying the false nine. So yeah, look, definitely I'm a hell of a lot more confident now with an actual, centre forward there tonight. So look, as I said, I'm feeling pretty good. I am feeling pretty good. A couple of game changers in that side: Aubameyang, Pepe, Bukayo Saka. There's a few on the bench. Again, they're not going to be 100% fit, but we've got Lacazette, we've got Kieran Tierney, we've got Martinelli. Samuel is asking, do you think Wenger could have got top four with this squad? He's done a bit worse looking squads.
I'm going to out a statement out here today, and I think it's going to be quite a controversial one. I think Unai Emery had a better squad than we do at the minute. And the reason why I think that is because Unai Emery might not have been equipped with the most talented players, with the most beautifully, beautiful all-rounded footballers like your Aubameyangs, and he had Aubameyang, but let's say peak Bukayo Saka, Kieran Tierney, and Thomas Partey. These are the players that we look at, right? When we look at beautiful footballers who have so much ability and so much potential. But what he did have was a full squad of players. He had an armory. He had, pardon the pun, he had a proper Arsenal. He had a depth, squad depth. That's something that we're missing. We don't have anyone to put left back in case Kieran Tierney gets injured. We don't have an adequate okay, maybe we do in Cedric for right back. But what about our centre back issue? Our main centre back who we're relying on is David Luiz. Back then it was a mixture of Koscielny, Mustafi. You had Socrates as well. So there was a wealth of experience there, but we don't have that this season. In centre mid, remember he had Guendouzi, who was credible. Torreira, who's doing a pretty good job as well, to sit alongside Xhaka. And Aubameyang was on top form that season as well. So I think that Arteta is a little bit unlucky in the sense that he sold all of his... He cleared out the boat a little bit too soon for me. But you can't blame him because that's step one of trying to transform this squad, this team. I feel for him a little bit, but having said that, when he starts doing things that he did on Thursday, it doesn't help him at all. And so I'm hoping that he keeps it simple. And you said it perfectly right. With 11 players, with the 11 players that are starting tonight, playing in a system that they're familiar with, I think they're good enough to beat Villarreal. And you're right when you say that Arteta is he wants to almost become this philosophical type of who's the manager that I'm thinking of in my head? I've got a book right here. Who's the Leeds coach? Just remind me the name. Bielsa, that's it. He almost wants to become this like almost Bielsa figure where everything has to be so systematic, everything has to be so in order, one step after the other. But he doesn't need to do that. Just play them in a system that they're familiar with and tell them to score goals. And they'll do it because there's a wealth of talent on there with Odegaard, with Saka, with Pepe, Smith Rowe, Aubameyang. On the bench, you've got Lacazette, you've got Martinelli. There are players who can score goals and create goals. So don't overcomplicate it. Let them play football the way that they have been doing this season for the most part, or not maybe the most part, but we've seen real good glimpses of this Arsenal squad this season. Let them go out there and replicate. And let that be the message. Look, there's no instructions. Go out there, win this game. Keep it simple.
100%. And look, just before I let you go and get ready for the game ahead, I'm just going to throw out the question that I know is going to be asked by everyone tonight. If we go crashing out tonight, are you looking for a new man to take over, or are you still set on it's Arteta next season? Because I think we all know. I think we know, regardless, unless it's an absolute embarrassment tonight, and we, unless it's something that you couldn't come back from, a 5-6-0, something like that. But look, if we just go out tonight and we just come up short, I reckon Arteta is going to be here anyway. But are you happy enough to continue with Arteta if he does go out here tonight?
Look, I think no one can be happy with where we are. No one can be happy with the season that we've had. Even if we go, if we win the Europa League, that's incredible. That's a European title in how many years? So, but the question was, if they crash out, what are my thoughts on Arteta? Well, I'm someone who, despite being quite reactionary sometimes, I do have a very open mind, and I'm a little bit like Arteta. I overanalyze everything. So the moment that Arteta was appointed, I understood that this was never going to be a one-season plan. It was never going to be a case that Arsenal were going to be back at the promised land over a season or 2 seasons. I saw what the club were doing, and I understood the direction that they were taking. If Arteta loses tonight, unfortunately, that is the journey that we're on. That is part of the experience we're going to have to, as fans, experience. To a semi-final. If you look back to the beginning of the season, and if you look back to the time when Arteta first took over, if someone was to tell you, well, during his first few seasons, he's going to win an FA Cup, he's going to win a Community Shield, and he's going to get Arsenal to the European semi-final, the Europa League semi-final, how would you feel about that? I would bite your hand off and say that is
Yeah.
one hell of a start to a managerial career. That's brilliant.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Now,
100%.
and there have been some real hiccups, but I
Mm.
understand that this is part of the journey. This is part of the making of a manager. Now, was the job given too soon to him? Absolutely, it was. He shouldn't have been appointed the Arsenal manager. He should have taken a job like Everton, like Fulham, with all due respect to them, but a mid-table to lower tier side where he could really make his mistakes there and really grow and really get to know himself a little bit more as a manager. Because there is a big difference between being an assistant and a head coach.
Mhm.
You're going from the guy who advises the boss to now taking the advice on and acting upon it. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of sympathy for Arteta, but I'll tell you, this is what I'll end on. When I look at a manager, there are two things that I look at a manager to know whether they are someone to keep an eye on and someone to rely on, and that is progressive football on the
Yeah.
pitch and decision-making abilities in crucial times. Now, he has done one of them, which is he has developed the game that Arsenal play to some extent, being able to play a little bit more with, I guess, urgency, being a little bit more efficient when playing out of the back, perfect the way that we use our flanks. But his management, his in-game management, and his ability to make decisions that impact the game is yet to be perfected. And this is something that takes years for some coach to get. Even the most experienced managers are still learning to make the right decisions at the right time. So if we lose tonight, unfortunately, we lose tonight. There's nothing we can do about that. We're not going to be in Europe next season. I will, however, be judging Arteta from the very first game of next season. And I said this, and I stay consistent with it. Let this season be a season where he practices, where he neatens out all the creases. But next season, that's when you will be judged on harshly by the Arsenal fan base. Because to be in the job for a season and a half at a club like Arsenal, no matter how new or how old you are, that's time enough. Now we need to really start delivering goods.
Yeah, brilliantly said, and definitely think that's a fair way of looking at it. Yeah, look, I'm very much like you. I sort of expected, look, this was going to be a bumpy road this season. Look, you get what you pay for at the end of the day. We brought in a novice. You've got to expect you're going to get novice mistakes. And look, this is just the reality of it. Like, people don't like the fact that he is learning on the job, but this is the reality. He is learning on the job, and we just kind of got to get on with it. But like, I have my concerns, and I've aired my concerns, especially recently, within the first leg with what went on, and like you, the in-game management, maybe the pre-game management, how he's lining up, he's making mistakes, and it is a cause for concern. And how he's phasing people out of a team, and there's a lot of concern. Of course, I'm not blind to, I'm not oblivious to it, and I'm not fooling myself into pretending it's not there. But like, if you're giving me a manager who, like that, has no prior experience but can still guide a team to an FA Cup and potentially a European Cup while he's learning and growing into a role and trying to improve, like, that's a pretty damn good start, And again, I'm far from Arteta in. I like to say I'm Arteta sympathetic, because at the end of the day, if he got sacked in the morning and someone else that I felt was better for the job came in, I would be more than happy. For that person to guide us on. I'm not going to sit around and cry because Arteta's gone. Like, I can get over a manager, no problem. But yeah, look, it is funny. Like, this is kind of what I put to people. I sort of say, when they talk about the process, and okay, our league position is awful, and it is, but I kind of say, like, how long to you is a process? If you give up one season in the Premier League, one season of being, very much under par, but you still achieve what you wanted in the way of Champions League qualification, would you not give up that one season? If it meant, and I know, because people are looking at it and go, okay, well, Europa League was an easier route, we played easier teams, blah, 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 whatever excuse you want to make. And it's true. It's an easier pathway to Champions League. You've only got to show up maybe for a handful of games. I understand it's not a 38-game season where you've got to be consistent. You're judged overall on the league, and I accept that. My thinking is, you use this season to get your Champions League football, and you're a more attractive proposition next season. You have more money to spend next season. People have more belief in the coach next season. I think the players have more belief in themselves next season. Next season, I'm looking for us to make drastic improvements in the league.
Yeah.
I can definitely sacrifice our league form this season if the end goal is Champions League football and a European
Hmm.
Cup at the end of it. Like, I can understand why people would have concerns, but I'm trying to take the positives out of it and sort of say, look, we'll be a different proposition next
Hmm.
season, given the bumpy ride we've had this season. But yeah, look, again, I will say to everybody who is concerned about Arteta, I share the concerns. I really, really do. The people who are sympathetic of Arteta, I definitely share the sympathy. I'm aware of the task at hand. I'm aware of, look, I know people won't accept it as an excuse. A lot of people, like, you shouldn't be learning. And I agree. I do agree. You should not be learning on the job at such a big club. This is the reality we have, though. But yeah, as I've already said, if you're learning and you've had a bad season and you still end up with a European trophy at the end of it, that's not bad going. Like,
Mm-hmm.
really, really, that's not bad going. So yeah, regardless, I fully believed he was getting next season anyway. Excuse
Hmm.
me. I always felt he was getting next season. Even if we go out tonight, again, like I said,
Yeah.
unless it's something, it's an absolute embarrassment tonight. I cannot see how he's not gonna
Mm.
go into next season and lead us next season. And again, I'm like you. I'll be watching closely at the decisions he makes during the summer. I'll be watching closely the decisions he makes, once we get up and running next season.
Mm. Mm.
And yeah, look, if it's not working, the first 5, 6, 7 games next season, if a new man needs to come in,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
more than happy. More than
Absolutely.
happy.
And I just want to make the quick point as well that maybe if we do lose tonight, it's going to have a detrimental impact on what we can do in the summer. And if we're to believe what Arteta's told us about plan A, B, C, D, well, if we've got the European football next year and no money being invested by the Cronkies, then it's going to be plan D. And now my question is, can Arteta manage, or can Arteta take this team, this Arsenal side now, with one or two more additions to the next level next season? Because the way that I see it, I'm only giving him a fair chance under the impression that next in the summer he's going to make some big changes. Now, if we get those big changes, I'm happy to let him give him, the first 10 games of the season to see what he can do with these new faces. But if we don't get Champions League football next season, that's going to have a big difference in the pot of money that we have to play with. Now that begs the question: is Arteta going to be able to take these players here with an addition of one or two or three to the next level? I don't know. And so maybe it might be the best time for him to leave at the end of the season, get someone in for the summer, and then start a new philosophy and a new direction. But that's, being an Arsenal fan, I don't want to see my club turned into that. I would rather see them take that slow, long road rather than 18 months, sack a manager, get someone else in, new direction, new philosophy, new coaching staff, players needing to get used to a new. But that's the way football is. It's so quick, it's so instant, it's so demanding. So
Yeah.
maybe me as a fan wanting that long road is not really a realistic approach because the game itself has changed. But that's just the way I feel.
Yeah, and look, the Chelsea model is what we are gonna be kind of put up against, and Chelsea fans are looking at, well, look, Frank Lampard, we gave him a chance, and we did what he could, and then like that, look, they gave him an opportunity, spent the money, and then he couldn't handle it. Once he got to spend the money and he brought in the players he wanted, he couldn't do it. And
Mm,
Arteta might be the very, very same.
mm,
But I think we still have to give him that opportunity. Give him that chance to see, and it's the only way we're ever really going to know. Tuchel has completely hit the ground running, and he's doing great things. And yeah, okay, like fair play. But like I said, also about Arteta, Arteta might not be the man for the future. But if you even, I guess, do a comparison to Frank Lampard, like Frank Lampard, it didn't work out in the end for him. But I'm also looking at Arteta in this sort of sense. If Arteta can do a couple of things like Lampard did, a couple of building blocks, bring in the likes of like Lampard introduced guys like Mason Mount, and look how look how important he is now to that side. So, I'm not saying Arteta is going to be the man, but he might put a couple of building blocks in place for us for when the next guy comes in. So, look, it's one of those only time will tell. Look, as Ray says there, just before we finish up, Ole was like Arteta a year ago. We need our Bruno sign. Sometimes, sometimes you just get that one or two additions, and that can change everything. Likewise, look, how are we going to know, what he can achieve and what his ceiling as a manager is, if we just dismiss him after one season, we don't give him that opportunity. And at the same time, if we don't back him and we don't give him the recruits that he wants or he feels he needs, how are we ever going to know? But look, Farhan, we'll wrap it up there. We're 20 minutes away from kickoff. So big thanks to you for joining me. Just give yourself a shout out there just for everyone who was watching.
Thank you for having me once again, mate. It's been a real pleasure. 45 minutes. I didn't think it would go on for long, but no, it was good. It was a good old catch up, and good to talk about Arsenal with you. You guys can find me on YouTube, on Twitter, at Gunner Since 96. I release a whole lot of content as well. I've also got a podcast show called the Arsenal Therapy Podcast, where I release a post-match reaction with full analysis after every game.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So definitely do check out Farhan. You can see the Twitter handle there at Gunner from 96 and the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. And if you're not fed up listening to my voice, this channel is the Republic of Arsenal. I will be back later on tonight about maybe 10:35 p.m. We'll be doing a reaction to what's about to unfold here tonight. So I'll have a couple of the guys will be back on with me live later on. The reason why I'm on a little bit later, I know the game will end obviously a bit ahead of that, but I am going on a channel with Jess from She Knows Arsenal. So you can check out her channel as well. She does great stuff over there. So we'll be on straight after the game. So as soon as the game is finished, it'll be instant reaction. So She Knows Arsenal, get over and check that out. And then you can, if you want, you can follow me back here about 10:35. So there'll be plenty of reaction, and hopefully it'll be all smiles, no tears. And look forward to the game. And big thanks to everyone who tuned in to watch. And Ray, I just seen Ray popped up there. Extra time could happen. It might happen. So look, we'll keep you posted anyway with the plans. So again, Twitter handle down below there if you want to keep up to date on Twitter. If it does run a little bit late, I'll have the times up. But cheers to everyone for watching. Please like the video and subscribe. And look, enjoy the game. Come on, you Gunners. And look, hopefully we'll be talking about a European Cup final ahead. So look, enjoy the game, lads.
Cheers.